Thank you very much. This is mine. Is this page 3 of our notes? Okay, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, December 9th. We didn't have any outline yesterday, just discussion questions. We're starting on the top of page 3 in our notes. We're on page 137 of our catechisms. We already looked at God the Father. He is our creator. We're going to take a look, maybe have a running list of things God does for us as our Father. The first one starts with the letter C. He creates. And now as we get into something called providence, we'll have 3 P's. He preserves, provides, and protects. In fact, now is as good a time as any to write that down. What does God do for us as our Father? He creates. He created us. He created the world. He provides. He preserves. And He protects. And that's what we'll focus on today and on Monday, finishing up as best we can by Wednesday so that we can do some reviewing and write a test a week from today. For those watching, studying, learning online at home, I will send those tests out after that class on Thursday. Okay? So let's all go ahead and open our catechisms, page 137, preservation. Who wants to read that there? Go ahead, Jonah. Anyone have a quarter? Nickel, dime, Anya? Nothing?
I have one by that fact.
Anyone have a stopwatch?
I have a phone. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to, you know how to spin a quarter?
Yeah.
I'm going to spin a quarter. I'll do it on the, I'll do it right here. I'm going to spin a quarter. How long do you think the quarter is going to stay spinning? Justice?
5 to 10 seconds. So
5, got to be more specific. 5,
7.
7 seconds. And we're taking the over?
I want to say maybe
10 seconds?
The world record is like 13.
13 seconds. 12? 6, only 6. Okay, I'll take the over on all of those. On my go, Jonah, you're going to hit start. Let's bring the old stopwatchy up here. When I say go, hit start. Ready? Here we go. Just hit start. All you have to do. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? What was that? Timer. Stopwatch. Start. Ready? Here we go. Jackson, you ready for this? This is exciting. The most exciting thing you'll see all day. Ready? Okay, let's do it on the floor. It's still spinning on the chair? How great is that? All right, ready? We'll do it on the floor. Ready? Start. I think we beat 12. 13, what are we at? Starting to wobble, 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 down. 12.4. Who said 12? 12, who said 13?
I said 12.
Okay, 13 loses because you can't go over. It's like the Price is Right. What did we all know? Thank you. What did we all know is going to happen to this quarter? Justice?
Stop spinning.
It would stop spinning. Why? Would it stop spinning? Molly? Ran out of energy? Ran out of steam? It needed?
I was going to say gravity and stuff because of gravity.
Gravity was going to pull on the wobbliness nature of it once it started getting out of spin.
Nothing like helped it continue.
Okay. Don't have a basketball. How many of you can spin a basketball on your finger? How long can you spin a basketball on your finger? Okay, what do you have to do, Jonah, to get? I usually can get it started, and I can get it spinning, and I can go pretty good for a while, but what do I have to do? You have to keep it spinning. You have to act on it. Some people, especially those theistic evolution people, maybe some Christian-believing people who are frustrated with life in this world, think or accuse God of saying, hey, he got the whole world started, he got the world spinning, and now he's just a distant God, and he steps away, and he doesn't care about it at all, and sooner or later, it's going to wobble out of control, and the whole thing will fall flat. And people like to think that when something not isn't going right in their life. Health, finance, relationship. When something's not going right in the world. Economy, violence, war, crime. Think, where's God in all this? What we're going to learn about today is God didn't just get the world spinning. God actually preserves it by keeping it spinning, by keeping everything that we need for our body and life in play. I believe that God still preserves me by richly and daily providing clothing and shoes, food and drink, house and home, land, cattle, all I own, all that I need to keep my body and life, by defending me against all danger and guarding and protecting me from all evil. Key term, providence. Providence. What word do you see? You got to write that down. What word do you see in the word providence? God provides. Simply put, God provides for us. He takes care of us. He protects and preserves us. There are the three words that begin with the letter P. Psalm 36, verses 6 and 7. Who's got it? Jack?
Okay. Your righteousness is like the highest mountains. Your justice is like the great deep. You, Lord, preserve both people and animals. How priceless is your unfailing love, O God. People take refuge in the shadow of your wings.
How many of you have heard of Mother Nature? What's Mother Nature thing? It's nature, okay. Mother Nature. What is some people who say, oh, Mother Nature, what do they mean by that?
Like the earth.
The earth itself, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Molly?
Like natural causes, if there's like a hurricane.
Okay, natural causes, seasons, gravity, the way things work, the way things hold together. It's almost, and I don't know that they mean it that way, it's almost like they make Mother Nature out to be a real person, a real being, maybe even a deity, maybe something that controls. There's no such thing as Mother Nature. What there is God the Father who created his world and put in place all the things we have today, the seen and the unseen. I had a weird thought last night during worship. I'll get to you in a second, unless you need the bathroom. Okay, weird thought in church. So sometimes, it wasn't during church, it was during the offering. I was over at Good Shepherd. Sometimes we talk about the things God made that we see. What are some things that God made that we see? Everything around. Mountains, trees, lakes, streams, birds, animals. What are some things that God made that we don't see?
Molecules, atoms.
Okay, so we could still see them if we have a microscope because they're so small, or we could still see them if we have a telescope but they're so far away. But literally things that are invisible. Air itself, can't see unless it's full of smog or it's cold air, it's breath that comes out of my mouth. Other things we can't see.
Our sins. We can't really see them, but we know we did them.
Okay, can't really see sin, although God didn't create our sin, but that's something unseen.
Gravity.
Gravity, we can't see. We can see. I won't break this. I hope I don't break this. I'll have to buy you a new one. Should I do this? What's going to happen if I do this?
It's gonna fall.
Can I tell you a sad story about JP?
Pulled down.
Yes.
No, he didn't fall. He didn't fall. So he was making a Lego. He likes Legos. He was making, it's a really cool Lego. It's actually a wreath. That can either be a wreath you hang on the wall or a wreath, like an Advent wreath you put on a table. It's a very intricate Lego because it's got all the little leaves, holly, as it were, some odd-shaped pieces. It's in a circle, and he finished it. And I said, okay, it even has a little loop where I can hang it on the wall. And I said, okay, why don't you just go put it on the dining room table and we'll figure out a place to hang. He says, okay, we got to hang it in a careful place because if this thing falls, I'm going to go all over. I'm like, we'll be very careful. Just put it on the thing. We'll figure out a place to put it. I'll put it in because I wanted to hang it above a window. And he said, no, there's blinds there and there's trim there and then there's just glass there. It's just got to be flat against the wall or it's going to break. And I'm like, you know what? You're pretty smart. That's great. Well, he did it. He put it on the dining room table. I didn't go get a nail, but he wanted to take a picture of it to send to his brother Nate. How many of you know who Nate is? Nate loves Legos. Nate still loves Legos. Nate still gets Legos for Christmas. Loves to do the Legos. So JP wanted to take a picture of this.
He stepped
Yeah, do you know what happened?
He stepped on it.
No, he didn't step on it. He went to hold it up, and he went to take a picture of the bottom half of the wreath fell. So the top half is still intact. Now he's got some work. What's the point? I'm not going to drop your Rubik's Cube because I don't want this to break into, how many pieces would this be? Great math question.
16.
No.
It's a 4x4.
You have to go 3 times 3 times, yeah. Except, have you ever taken one of these apart? There's a piece in the middle, so it's actually 28. That's the trick question. I don't want that to break into 28 pieces. What's the point? We don't see gravity. Here's the thought I had. Remember I was at church at Good Shepherd last night? Isn't it amazing that God created, now we can hear it, but even when it's not being played, that God created music? The very fact that we can sing a song and vary our tone, how high the pitch is, how low the pitch is, and that there's melody, and that there's harmony, and that there's dissonance. Just a fascinating thing. As much as we think about math is cool, that God created math, God also created music. Just a fascinating thing. Anyway, what were we talking about? Gravity. He provides for us. He protects us. He preserves us. God made everything, not Mother Nature. We got there. Not Mother Nature. God is not a distant God. God is actively, he's intimately involved in the laws of nature, in the seasons, in providing for us in our very lives. Justice.
Do we need to know this? Simply put, God takes care of us.
I would know providence means the 3 Ps.
Okay.
That's not a definition you need to know word for word. He provides for us. Matthew 6. It's the Sermon on the Mount. People are worrying about what they'd wear, what they'd eat. And he says the lilies of the valley are dressed more beautiful than all. So clothing and shoes. Psalm 37, I think, is it the eyes of all look to you? Is that what that says? You give them their food? No? What is it, Lauren?
I was young, now I am old.
Oh, that we just had that for memory work today. I was old and now I was young and now I'm old. That would be weird. What's the name of the guy who gets younger as he goes?
Oh, Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button, yeah, not Benjamin Button. And I was young and now I'm old. But I've never seen the righteous begging for bread. He gives us food and drink. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8, I know that God can give me all that I need in life. You just look at those things. Important to remember that God gives us what we need, not necessarily what we want. So food. How many of you like a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
No.
You're allergic? Don't eat peanut butter and jelly. Is it the peanut butter or the bread?
Vegetables are peanut butter.
It's the peanut butter. And yet, I mean, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches could sustain you. Probably indefinitely, probably for life. You could probably have one of those a day and probably get by. But how many of you would want to do that all the time, right? How many of you would want leftovers every night? Well, you can't have leftovers every night because then you'd never have the fresh meal to have the leftovers. So at some point, you got to have a new meal if you're going to have leftovers. So think about that next time you're complaining about leftovers. Well, at least one time this was new. But we don't have a steak dinner. We don't have an Omaha steak dinner. We don't have a steak and lobster dinner every night. Same thing with our clothes. What 2 purposes does clothing serve? Molly?
Try to give you extra clothing to protect you from stuff.
Okay, what 3 purposes does clothing to protect us? Especially if think about it, if you're riding your bike, you're riding a bicycle, you're riding a horse, or maybe you're just out in the yard working. Sometimes you need clothing so that you don't have rocks and pebbles kick up and get you. Or maybe you're out hiking in the mountains and you don't want a rattlesnake to bite you. You might have special boots on or special pants on. What other 2 purposes does clothing serve? Okay, it keeps me warm, depending on the season, depending on the temperature. Next week, did you see the high for next Wednesday? It's going to be like 68 degrees. We're going to get like 2 or 3 inches of snow on Friday. Wednesday, maybe Mr. P will pull the trigger on a short day. And what other purpose does clothing serve?
It clothes us.
It covers us. Decency, modesty. We don't look at each other that way, right? So it covers us. What do we need then for clothes when it's cold? We need maybe layers. We need a thicker coat. We need pants. We need gloves. We need hat. Do we need every bit of clothing, every jacket that has a fancy logo on it? Where a normal jacket might cost $40, one with a certain logo might cost $140 or $240. Same thing with our sweatshirts, same thing with our shoes. What kind of shoes do we need to wear normally? What kind of shoes do we need to play basketball? Am I going to play basketball any better? How much does LeBron James still sell shoes?
Yeah.
How much would a pair of his shoes cost? Or Giannis?
120.
120, 150. Sometimes they're 220 for a pair of basketball shoes. Could I play just as well in a pair of $70 basketball shoes? Probably. Could I play just as well maybe in my bare feet? Maybe. I don't know who would do that. I don't even know if that's legal. I used to referee. I don't think I ever had to give anyone a technical foul for wearing bare feet. Probably because they knew they had to wear shoes. But I have coached a lot of, 20, off and on for 25, 28 years. I have refed off and on for 25, 28 years. I don't think I ever saw someone play without shoes, but I have seen everyone wear shoes that they were handed down from probably a sibling that were a little old. I have seen some shoes that had some holes in them. Saw one kid at practice playing dress shoes. That wasn't the money thing. Did you know, none of you would know Mr. Lohberger from Good Shepherd. He was before Mr. Leibel, who was before Mr. Lauber. Wow. 3 principals with the letter L. That's crazy. My son Ben was playing. I was the assistant coach. Mr. Lohberger was the head coach, and he had a player. I just told this to JP the other day. He had a player show up to practice wearing jeans. Do you know what he made? He made the whole team run at the start of practice because one kid showed up in jeans not ready to practice. I don't know. What were we talking about? Needs versus wants, right? God promises to give us what we need. He doesn't assure us that, hey, you're gonna have the most fashionable clothes, or you're gonna have the newest clothes, or you're gonna have the coolest clothes, but you will have clothes. How does God do this? John 6, this is the feeding of the 5,000. God can do this through miracles like he did in the Old Testament. What did God give his people in the Old Testament while they were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years? Jack?
Manna and quail.
Manna every morning to eat, it was like bread, and quail every night, it was like quail. It tasted like chicken. Do you know something else God did for those 40 years? Often overlooked, it's another miracle of provision. The water from the rock. They had water to drink in the middle of the wilderness for some 2 million people. Do you know their shoes never wore out? They never had to take a detour and go into Foot Locker. Never had to go to the outlet mall and stop at the Nike store. Never logged on to Amazon to say we need a whole new set. We would like 2 million pairs of sandals, please. Didn't have to do that because their shoes never wore out. God can do that through miracles. God hasn't promised you or me that he would do that through miracles. Psalm 147. Let's hear that one, Camden.
He covers the sky with clouds. He supplies the earth with rain and makes grass grow on the hills. He provides food for the cattle and for the young ravens in the call.
Generally speaking, God does this through nature. Seasons. Planting season, growing season, harvest season, storing season. We have food to eat throughout the year. Crops grow. Animals eat the crops. We eat the animals. The circle of life, as it were. We have natural resources to mine and to harvest and to dig and to pump out of the earth so that we have all the things we need to make vehicles, to make buildings. Buildings where we can process food. Places where we can store food. Refrigerated trucks to transport it. All of that comes from the natural resources God had put in place already at the creation of the world. Deuteronomy 8 talks about the ability to work. God is the one who gives us the ability to work. In fact, 2 Thessalonians says if a person won't work, he shouldn't eat. Talking about being lazy, they're talking about taking advantage of other people, talking about taking advantage of or work in the system. God says, no, I've given you the ability to work, the ability to earn a living, the ability to buy the things you need to provide for your family. Again, he doesn't guarantee everyone how much money they'll make. Not everyone's going to be a millionaire. Not everyone's going to make $100,000 a year. Not everyone's going to make $40,000 a year. Whatever the case may be, but he has given us the ability to provide for our families. Now, are there certain situations where someone has a disability, where someone's been injured, where someone has a circumstance outside of their control where they're not able to work? Yeah, then there are things in place through the government, through the church, through fellow Christians where God can provide for them as well. And finally, this is very similar to what we had with the 7th commandment, every good and perfect gift. James 1, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who doesn't change like shifting shadows, through gifts. And we just talked about this a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Christmas gifts, birthday presents, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, confirmations, Easter, Halloween. You guys had all sorts of things. But sometimes it's just people will give hand-me-downs away. Clothing that their children can't wear anymore, they'll give that to someone who has children. Sometimes you can go to Goodwill or to a hand-me-up store or other consignment places where you can buy used clothing at a reduced price because people just gave those things away. Sometimes we can give things away, donate coats this time of year to a place that's doing a coat drive, so people who maybe don't even have a home or who have not a lot of money but a lot of kids can have coats. Got it? Everyone? Good? Psalm 121 says, lift your eyes to the hills. Where does our help come from? Our help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And then it goes into this whole long thing, 5, 6, 7 verses about God not sleeping, God not slumbering, God not taking a vacation, God not leaving, God not being that distant God because he's going to protect us. Psalm 91. We had it today. He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your way. He watches over us. How many of you know who Jane is? It's kind of a trick question. I should have brought a picture up. Jane is my granddaughter. Jane is 19 months. Jane was here for Thanksgiving, if you're able to be here for church. Thanksgiving. She'll be here for Christmas. If you're here, you'll get a chance. Jane went back to Denver after Thanksgiving, and she has a trampoline in her yard, but not one of those big ones, just one of those little ones. But Jane's foot fell off the trampoline, and she broke her leg right here. Little Jane. That's terrible because, she's walked. She's almost 2, but she doesn't understand what a bone is, let alone a broken bone, let alone why her leg hurts all the time. But she's got a cast on it. She's not supposed to put any weight on it. She hasn't figured out that she'll just have to start crawling again. It's been tough. Anyway, even though that happened, think about it, like the playground. The 3-year-old is on the playground and going up the steps and down the curly slide and going over the ladder and across the bridge to the straight slide and climbing up the rock wall. You've seen these things, right? What's mom doing at the park?
Just like watching over.
Yeah, just kind of watching over, maybe, okay, going up the steps now, okay. Oh, here's the bridge. Okay, I'm going to catch you down when you go down the slide, and I'm going to keep doing all that. It's not like it's going to prevent a fall. Child could still fall, but she's watching. She's there. She's keeping an eye. She's not just letting the child, just like Hannah wasn't letting Jane just jump on the trampoline unattended. God is always tending us. He's always watching over. Justice.
Except we're not like God. She's doing her best, but she's not able to catch them always.
Won't always catch them. Won't always catch them. You're right. Might not get there in time. Might fall off the opposite side. Psalm 50. Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you. You will honor me. Joseph is talking in Genesis 50. You intended this to harm me, but God intended this for good. God can deliver us from trouble. God can deliver us from trouble. He can keep that trouble from happening. Maybe the child does fall off the playground. Maybe Jane does fall off the trampoline, but mom is right there, Hannah's right there to catch her, to catch him, and nothing happens. Romans 8:28, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. God can take a bad situation, turn it into a good one. He can make trouble work for our good. And that's what we have here in Genesis 37, 39, and 50. I mentioned Joseph. Remember, he was sold into slavery. That's what the Vine is studying right now on Wednesday mornings. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. That's a bad thing. He got into Potiphar's house. He rose in prominence. You know the whole story. Ended up in jail because he was falsely accused. Stayed there in jail, interpreted some dreams, forgotten in jail. Pharaoh has the dreams. Remember Joseph, you know the whole thing, and then he turns out to be the second most powerful. At the end of his father's life, the brothers are nervous what? What are the brothers nervous about?
That he's going to not forget them.
Okay, he's really just been nice to us because Dad's alive. But now that Dad's dead, he's going to get his revenge. And Joseph again is like, no, I know. You guys intended to harm me. God intended this for good. I want you to know I forgive you. And this is all working out according to God's plan. Psalm 91, 9 to 11. He uses his holy angels. That was memory work today. He will command his angels. Do you have a guardian angel? Are there such things as guardian angels? Well, yeah, Psalm 91 just told us. But don't limit yourself to just one. Right? If God wants to have 2 guardian angels when you're driving on the snowy street this Friday night, you're slipping and you're going to go off the bridge, but he wants 5 angels. He wants, as Jesus said, he could call on 10,000 angels. God can do that. God commands his angels, not just one, but he does have guardian angels. Let's take a closer look, page 140. Who's got it? Go ahead.
Angel means messenger. God often used angels to announce key events in his plan of salvation. Angels announced that John the Baptist and Jesus were about to be born. When Jesus was born, many angels announced the good news to the shepherds. When the baby Jesus' life was in danger from Herod's evil decree, angel instructed Joseph to flee with his family. When Jesus rose from the dead, angels at the tomb proclaimed the good news. When Jesus ascended, angels promised that he would come again. We are told that when Jesus returns on Judgment Day, angels will accompany him.
It's a neat thing to think about. Whenever there's a significant event in the life of Jesus or God's plan of salvation, the announcement to Zechariah that his wife Elizabeth would have a son would be John the Baptist, angels. Mary was going to have a baby. She hadn't been with a man, angel. Joseph, take this woman home. What's conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit, angel. Night of his birth, nighttime sky, lit up, glory to God in the high, angels. Jesus is tempted in the wilderness, angel. Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane praying, take this cup, angel. Jesus rose from the dead, angels. Jesus ascended, angel. Word angel literally means messenger, announcer, a herald. Hark the herald angel sings. That's redundant. Hark the heralding angel, announcer sings. But God also uses angels for our protection. I'm going to move through these today. We might come back to them. Let me take a look at my notes here. How far are we? Oofta. Okay. We're going to pick up here. All this God does, only because he is my good and merciful Father in heaven, and not because I have earned or deserved it. For all this I ought to thank and praise, to serve and obey him. This is most certainly true. Why does God take care of us? A reminder here, Romans 11:35. Romans 11:35, page 140. Who's got it? Kylie?
Who has ever given to God that God should repay?
Who's ever, it's a rhetorical question, right? Answer is no one has ever given to God that God should. We don't deserve anything from God. We haven't earned it. Genesis 32:10. Molly?
I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become 2 camps.
Jacob preparing to meet Esau. Jacob had to flee because Esau was going to kill him because he stole the birthright. Jacob is blessed in the house of his uncle Laban. He comes home not right, just a story. It's a real story. It's a true story. It's historical. But he's saying, I've got a large family now. I've got 2 wives and 2 other mothers of my children. I've got 12 kids, and I've got all these flocks and all these herds, and I'm a very wealthy man. But I wasn't worthy of it. In fact, I'm a sinner. I was deceptive. I was dishonest. I didn't trust. I broke your 6th commandment, and yet you still blessed me. Lamentations. Might be our one and only time to read from Lamentations. Go ahead, Madeline.
Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his protection never fails. They are new every morning, great is your faithfulness.
Probably should be memory work. Because of God's great love, we are not consumed. His mercies and compassion are new every morning. God has great love and mercy for us that's unearned, of which we are not worthy. And so he takes care of us. And you think about it, God takes care of not just us, the laws of nature, gravity, seasons, provision. It applies to all people. God even takes care of those who don't believe in him. God even takes care of those who reject him. God even takes care of those who blatantly sin against him and don't seek his forgiveness. God still takes care of them. That's how great his love is. How can we show our appreciation for his divine providence? Romans 12, verse 1. Stella.
I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship.
We can thank God in our words and in our actions. If you haven't got into the habit, and Christmas is a great time, affords you the opportunity to write out thank you cards. Maybe you don't write out a thank you note or a thank you card to your mom and dad for your Christmas presents, but maybe you have a godparent, maybe you have a grandma or a grandpa, maybe you have an uncle, whoever the case may be. Sometimes we need to write out thank you cards if you're ever the recipient of a bridal shower or a baby shower. Christmas time for me, I just had an anniversary in the ministry, and some people gave me some very thoughtful, some generous gifts. What did I do? I wrote out a thank you card and I gave it to them. What are some elements of writing out a thank you card? This is nothing for the test. This is just for future life. You might want to jot it down and make a great extra credit question. But when you write out a thank you card, you want to obviously say who this is to. You might want to say something nice about them. Their thoughtfulness, their generosity, what they mean to you, their relationship with you. You want to acknowledge specifically the gift they gave you. Even if it's money, you don't have to announce the amount, but the gift of money or the cash or whatever it might be, maybe the socks or the hat and mittens, and then say at the end how you might utilize that. Someone gives me $20 at Christmas time because I'm their pastor, which is a lovely, wonderful thing. In the thank you card, I might say, we planned a movie night. And we rented movies and we had snacks, and it was a great thing. Thank you for enabling us to do that. You have the socks. I can't believe how cool these socks are. They're going to be great when I play basketball. Or if they're warm socks. These warm socks are going to be great. I can't wait. We're having an ice skating outing. I plan to wear them. So who they are, what they mean to you, what they gave you, how you're going to use it, and then sign it off. That's a great thank you card. And before you know it, it's done. 8th graders, confirmation, you're going to have to write thank you cards. That goes a whole lot longer way than thanks for the gift. Grandpa, thanks for the gift. Jim. You can put a little more thought into it. So, but we're talking about this, not just thanking God with our prayers, not just saying, oh, give thanks to the Lord for He's good, but even when we do that, even when we do pray at lunchtime, to actually put some thought into that. How many of you have ever had your dinner prayer and all of a sudden someone says, wait a minute, did we pray? We're like halfway through the lasagna. Yep. You probably didn't put a whole lot of thought into your prayer. Probably should re-pray. But now, in our words and in our actions.
Are you going to get all the way to the end of this package?
I am getting all the way through today to the end of that package.
Like this?
We got 2 more pages today. We're getting done.
But how long?
Or I might stop right now.
But I was gonna ask. Well, this test is like 7 pages long.
The test won't be 7 pages long, but the test will cover all of the first article. I have a story I want to share with you about point A. So we'll pick up at point A, but your quiz for Monday, hold on a second. Put Monday up here. What's the date on Monday? 13th?
It is sure.
It is. Yeah.
Notes quiz, we have almost the whole page, correct?
So do you want us to stop before him?
We may have had this one already. I'll put it up there again. Romans 12, verse 1. We'll pick up there next time. Who's our tech person today? Can you go hit stop? And we'll pick it up there. Have a great weekend. Point A will be on the notes quiz for sure. All the way, that whole page. It's almost a whole page, minus the bottom 3 lines. Okay, have a good weekend.